Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so your friends see it. Thank you.
Liberals blew their chance. Trump declares no more DACA deal. President Trump gave Democrats and GOP establishment plenty of opportunities to make a deal on DACA, and they didn't make it happen. President Trump himself even offered Democrats and GOP establishment a deal, and they didn't take it. So, on Easter Sunday, President Trump announced no more DACA deal. From Breitbart. On Easter Sunday, President Trump announced he would no longer be pursuing a deal with the Republican establishment and Democrats to give amnesty to at least 1.8 million illegal aliens in exchange for a few pro-American immigration reforms. In a series of tweets, Trump signaled a return to his America First immigration agenda, mentioning that he will no longer try to negotiate a deal between the GOP establishment and Democrats on the issue of giving amnesty to potentially millions of illegal aliens shielded from deportation by the President Obama-created Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, program. No more DACA deal, Trump wrote on Twitter, while also saying that Republicans must go to nuclear option to pass tough legislation that ends the catch and release program, which releases border crossers into the U.S. while they await trial. The catch and release program was recently expanded with Trump's signing of the omnibus spending bill, with more illegal aliens set to be released this year and to the interior of the country than the year before. The catch and release program was recently expanded with Trump's signing of the omnibus spending bill, with more illegal aliens set to be released this year and to the interior of the country than the year before. The caravans Trump mentions in the Twitter post refers to the approximately 1,500 Central Americans who are traveling through Mexico and will soon reach the U.S. border, where they will likely request refugee status in the country, as Breitbart Texas reported. In another tweet, Trump threatened to take the U.S. out of the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, where between 2000 and 2014, there have been about 5 million American manufacturing jobs lost, if Mexico did not crack down on stopping migrants traveling through the country to take advantage of generous asylum and refugee laws in the U.S. Trump reiterated in the tweet, "Need wall." After the Republican and Democrat passed spending bill he signed barred him from building his border wall. A third tweet by the president noted how border crossers want in on a DACA amnesty that they believe will occur, as the Trump administration has tried to broker an amnesty deal for months now between Republicans and Democrats. For months, Breitbart News has reported how talk of a DACA amnesty in Washington, D.C., has coincided with an increasing number of border crossings at the southern border, with illegal immigration in recent months ticking back up to Obama-era levels. Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen has even admitted that human smugglers and future legal aliens follow the immigration debate in Washington, D.C., to understand when their best chance is to cross into the country illegally. Trump's previous offer to Republicans and Democrats on DACA gave amnesty to 1.8 million illegal aliens, 6 times the population of Obama's DACA program, and as Breitbart News reported, had the potential to become uncontrollable and unenforceable, opening the amnesty to millions more illegal aliens. At the time, Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach called the White House amnesty plan an extremely bad idea. The statements by Trump could be a turning point for the White House on immigration. The attempt to negotiate a DACA amnesty plan to please Democrats while also reducing overall immigration levels to the U.S. ultimately left the White House with nothing. In the recent spending battle, House Speaker Paul Ryan's omnibus did not include a single provision from Trump's 70-point list of pro-American immigration reforms. Despite backlash from conservatives and organizations representing American workers in the immigration debate, Trump signed the spending bill anyway. Dems exempted Pakistani IT aides from background checks. The political party who is so worried about foreign interference in our elections and politics, are not requesting background checks on foreign nationals who have access to classified information? That doesn't make sense, does it? That's precisely what happened regarding Pakistani brother who did IT work for the Democrat Party, and made unauthorized access. From Daily Caller. Every one of the 44 House Democrats who hired Pakistan-born IT aides who later allegedly made unauthorized access to congressional data appears to have chosen to exempt them from background checks, according to congressional documents. All of them appear to have waived background checks on Imran Awan and his family members, even though the family of server administrators could collectively read all the emails and files of 1 in 5 House Democrats. And despite background checks being recommended for such positions, according to an Inspector General's report, the House security policy requires offices to fill out a form attesting that they've initiated background checks, but it also includes a loophole allowing them to simply say that another member vouched for them. Among the red flags in Abid's background were a $1.1 million bankruptcy, 6 lawsuits against him or a company he owned, and at least 3 misdemeanor convictions including for DUI and driving on a suspended license, according to Virginia court records. Public court records show that Imran and Abid operated a car dealership referred to as CIA that took $100,000 from an Iraqi government official who is a fugitive from U.S. authorities. Numerous members of the family were tied to cryptic LLCs such as New Dawn 2001, operated out of Imran's residence, Virginia corporation records show. Imran was the subject of repeated calls to police by multiple women and had multiple misdemeanor convictions for driving offenses, according to court records. If a screening had caught those, what officials say happened next might have been averted. The House Inspector General reported on September 20, 2016, that shortly before the election members of the group were logging into servers of members they didn't work for, logging and using congressmen's personal usernames, uploading data off the House network, and behaving in ways that suggested nefarious purposes and that steps are being taken to conceal their activity. A pair of closely held reports on Imran Awan, his brothers Abid and Jamal, his wife Hina Elvi, and his friend Rao Abbas, said, the shared employees have not been vetted, for example background check. Shared employees means they were all hired as part-time, individual employees by individual members, cobbling together $165,000 salaries. Jamal began making that salary at only 20 years old, according to House payroll records. Abid never went to college, his stepmother said, and Rao Abbas' most recent job experience was being fired from McDonald's, according to his roommate. Whether they had formal training or not, they were trained on the job by Imran, one of Imran's lawyers said. Among the 44 employers, the primary advocate for the suspects has been Representative W. Wasserman Schultz of Florida, who introduced a bill Monday that would require background checks on Americans purchasing ammunition. Without bullets, a gun is just a hunk of useless metal, she said, calling ammunition the loophole in gun control policy. Wasserman Schultz was also chair of the Democratic National Committee when WikiLeaks published its emails. The WikiLeaks emails show that DNC aides called Imran when they needed the password to her device. Since then, she and other Democrats have described cyber breaches in the strongest possible terms, such as an act of war and an assault on our democracy. But there is no indication Democrats put those concerns into practice when they entrusted the Pakistani dual citizens with their data, nor when suspicious activity was detected. Police banned the suspects from the network after the IG report, but Wasserman Schultz kept Imran on staff anyway. He was in the building and in possession of a laptop with the username RepDWS months later, according to an April 6, 2017 police report. The House Security Policy, TSPL 16, says House offices shall ensure background checks, as defined in this policy, have been conducted on privileged users. It includes quarterly reviews of privileged accounts' appropriateness. By the time the policy was enacted, some members had dropped the Awans for assorted reasons, including Kirsten Sinema of Arizona in early 2015 for what her spokesperson called incompetence. The $1.1 million bankruptcy in itself would be enough to stop many employers from giving access to sensitive data. Excessive indebtedness increases the temptation to commit unethical or illegal acts in order to obtain funds to pay off the debts, so financial problems are the #1 killer of security clearances, according to clearancejobs.com. For each server administrator, an authorizing official from the member's office must fill out a form on which the office attests, "I have assessed the risk of the prospective privileged account holder via background check processes outlined in HISPL 16. However, there is an alternative, "I have verified that a trustworthiness determination has been made on behalf of this shared resource by another member." James Comey's book tour is a colossal disaster. What the heck is James Comey doing? Comey is running around the country promoting a tell-all book, while he's under scrutiny for lying under oath, colluding, releasing classified information, and botching Hillary's email investigation for political reasons. Comey is a key witness in Mueller's Russia witch hunt, so should he really make public his version of events? Well, no, he shouldn't, but this is James Comey, arguably not the brightest bulb in the box. From the Hill. Announcements of scheduled appearances for the widely anticipated $8.50 to attend book tour by fired FBI Director James Comey foreshadow a much ballyhooed return to the public square. Media outlets eagerly booked the former director, and his opus, A Higher Loyalty, Truth, Lies, and Leadership, briefly jumped to #1 on Amazon's bestseller list. But should Comey, a central witness in special counsel Robert Mueller probe, be making public his version of events which will certainly differ significantly with what President Trump, the central target in the special prosecutor's probe, has repeatedly stated? Comey was humiliatingly removed by the president last May and enjoyed a brief period of bipartisan sympathy for the disgraceful manner in which he was dispatched. The FBI's 7th director learned of his termination via televised news reports while appearing before an FBI audience in Los Angeles. This is not the manner with which career public servants should ever be separated from service. Yet, with the current president, it has become de rigueur. Initially taking the higher road, remaining silent, professional and above the fray, Comey has now resorted to directly confronting the president at his own game. He shed his original anonymous Twitter nom de plume, Reinhold Niebuhr, and directly waded in to criticize and taunt his tormentor. In the immediate wake of FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe's firing and Trump's Twitter gloating, Comey ominously warned, "Mr. President, the American people will hear my story very soon. And they can judge for themselves who is honorable and who is not." And, just like that, Comey conceded the tiny sliver of moral high ground he precariously clung to and reduced his position as an advocate of the pursuit of facts into a narcissistic quest to sell books. He unwittingly joined Trump in the pig wallow that currently serves as civil discourse. He continues to diminish himself and the cherished office he once held. It didn't have to be this way. Comey was appointed to be FBI director by former President Obama in September 2013. He was quite unlike his predecessors. He enjoyed a cult of personality that resulted in numerous FBI professional support employees, even some agents, donning "Comey is my homie" t-shirts after his humiliating firing by Trump last May. The tears shed following his public scourging were real. I was one of the forlorn, feeling in the immediate aftermath that a good man had been done wrong. Yet, recent revelations of his questionable decision-making and lack of courage in failing to stand up to Loretta Lynch, Obama's politicized attorney general, and the current president, have changed the views of many of us who carry, or once carried, the shield and credentials of FBI special agents. We base this assessment on a number of impossible-to-defend actions and inactions by Comey. Former U.S. Attorney Joseph DeGenova laid out a strong case that Comey contributed to the disgraceful politicization of the FBI, which, in part, led to his dismissal, via stupefying decisions in the Clinton emails and Trump-Russia collusion cases. The former chief prosecutor's adapted remarks, delivered in a speech in January at Hillsdale College's Alan P. Kirby Jr. Center for Constitutional Studies and Citizenship, can be found in the February 28 edition of Imprimis in a piece titled, the politicization of the FBI. Comey is certainly viewed as a polarizing figure by many Americans. Part of what makes him such an enigma to those of us who served under him was that he could appear so courageous and, yet, so self-admittedly cowardly. His speech at Georgetown University in February 2015, Hard Truths, Law Enforcement and Race, was an unprecedented acknowledgement by an FBI director that, at times, people of color don't receive equal treatment under the law. It was a seminal moment in the lagging effort to achieve a police partnership with inner-city communities by honestly engaging and speaking truth to power. It was a brave speech, in my estimation, the high water mark of his directorship. But the sober, courageous director who gave those remarks exited the stage long ago, replaced by a character on Twitter. Emboldened by the left's new adoption of him as a victim, messiah, he has shed any pretense of professional stoicism and seemingly cares little that self-indulgently discussing his interactions with the president now, before the probe concludes, may deleteriously alter the outcome. Then again, recall his less than honorable leaking of his memos, through a surrogate, to the New York Times. His explanation, that he hoped it would trigger the appointment of a special prosecutor, was a clear abdication of responsibility. His 9 encounters with the president left him admittedly uneasy. And, as he shamefully recounted to Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat California, during a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing last June, maybe other people would be stronger in that circumstance, but that's how I conducted myself. In failing to challenge the president, one only needs to recall Comey's failure to also push back on the aforementioned Lynch, in order to establish a sad pattern of behavior. Lynch added to the undeniable politicization of the Department of Justice by outrageously suggesting that the FBI refer to the Clinton investigation as a matter. This was language repeatedly utilized by the Clinton campaign to dismiss a federal investigation as much ado about nothing. Comey testified that Lynch's directive left him feeling queasy. But, instead of appropriately pushing back on the Attorney General, he somehow felt the issue wasn't a hill worth dying on. Many inside and outside of the FBI disagree. While these revelations are supremely disappointing, it is his current vainglorious effort to set the record straight amid the hugely consequential Russia probe that seems so reckless, foolhardy and self-serving. It appears to add credence to the president's charge that Comey is, first and foremost, a grandstander. Comey's book tour may indeed settle an old score, but it will undoubtedly diminish what's left of his once bulletproof reputation and expose to further, irreparable harm the agency he once professed to so deeply love. Let us know what you think about Comey going on record with his new book. Would you purchase this book?